Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Just answering some of your questions throughout the session. The first one is 3D printing ready for mass production instead of prototyping? Are there limitations like very slow, it can't print larger size components, can't be used for food appliances, FDA regulated, etc.? That was from Roopa. No, thanks for the question, and you're completely right. It's mainly used right now in prototyping, as was seen, for example, by SpaceX. They're 3D printing their rocket prototypes to accelerate the design process and then get to that mass production later on. But when we're actually talking about 3D printing, right now, think about it as a decentralizing production itself, as opposed to mass production. So kind of like the Star Trek replicator, where everyone has a 3D printer in their homes, rather than relying on a manufacturing plant to create, say, toilet paper, you'll be able to create toilet paper in your own home. And that's what 3D printing is trying to achieve, democratizing production itself. The next question is, going back to coronavirus, since you are a transhumanist, how do you think that science and technology will help us transcend human limitations? Will we be able to cure diseases? And how about aging itself? Any time frames in mind? Thanks, Jose Cordero. Yes, so transhumanism, if you think about what we're trying to achieve with healthy longevity, so that includes a new drug discovery using AI, new synthetic biology and digital biology, the treatments for existing diseases. But if you think about the aging process itself, it's the biggest killer. All around the world, every single day, there are 150,000 people dying every day, and 2/3 are caused by natural causes. So these are from the aging process itself, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, and cancer. If we can actually come up with the treatment of reversing the aging process, or at least slow it down to the point where we achieve a concept called escape velocity, longevity escape velocity. So every day that you live, you get a day back based on the technology advancements over time. Then that means that people living in today might actually have the potential to live indefinitely, as long as those sort of accidents are mitigated through the automated processes that we're currently having, like autonomous vehicles. In enhancing our intelligence for transhumanism. Think about how this will allow us to accelerate these discoveries. Being smarter, we'll actually come up with newer ways of treating the aging process, but also creating new ways of transcending our sort of our mental health as well. In well-being, this sort of super well-being that transhumanism is sort of advocating for is that sense of purpose. So with Singularity University's massive transformative purpose, you can sort of think about, you won't ever get bored by living indefinitely. There will always be challenges to get you trying to advance the future of what it is to be human, and then also your consciousness itself. So next question is on, I think unpaid robots should give the loan back to government, and government will pay a tariff loan for human beings like artists. So the unpaid robots can help biological humans beings directly. Do you agree? Right on, Paul. Thanks, Paul. So this is sort of what I was talking about, the universal basic income. The current methods and models that has been pushed out is a value-added tax to pay for it, so through Andrew Yang. But it can also be in the form of a robot tax. That's what Bill Gates has just suggested. It's just that with the robot tax, is less practical to implement, because how do you actually accurately measure the unpaid robot value? You can only rely on estimates. So with the value-added tax, it just means that sort of every Google search, every robot mile, every sort of Amazon sale will be actually taxed, and that then funds into the universal basic income. That probably will fund about $500 billion in the first year. But in terms of what that means, if we actually implement a universal basic income, the economic effects of giving money into the power of everybody, every US citizen, for example, all around the world, the spending power actually increase economic activity to actually meet the sort of expenditure of $3 trillion as an upfront cost. And then with the UBI, there's also sort of things like, you don't need to have a UBI to be on top of existing government benefits. So you actually just elect to have $1,000 a month without actually having to, tick all these regulatory boxes. You just get it. So the red tape is cut, so that $1,000 a month is still higher than any sort of the social benefits. So you'd probably elect to do that instead of just going through all the paperwork for existing benefits. Next question is, what do you think the main problems with autonomous vehicles for delivery are? For regulation, whether it's people or connectivity. That's from Carlos. Thanks, Carlos. So yeah, people and regulation go hand in hand in democracies. Connectivity may not be an issue as the technology can drive autonomously offline right now. Based on the camera systems and radar, like in Tesla. With comma AI, so this is founded by George Hotz. He's actually developed a decentralized way of doing the machine learning algorithms for autonomous vehicles. It's a camera-based system only, and they're proud to be a level 2 autonomy sort of company. So they just want to make driving chill, but that sort of camera-based system is sufficient for these sort of level 2 autonomy vehicles. Um, Next question is, hi Peter, how do you calculate the size of the opportunity? What data can we use for this? And it's from Raluca. Thanks, Raluca. So from ARK Invest estimations, this is based on today's numbers, so in terms of that sort of total GDP size, and then applying Moore's law and Wright's law to that sort of equation. So Moore's law we're all familiar with at Singularity University, that sort of exponential growth in how digital technology can increase in performance and price performance. And for Wright's law, it's the learning curve. So with every unit of production created, it actually reduces your cost of production. So that's sort of actually determined to be more accurate than Moore's law sometimes when we're estimating sort of the cost of delivering an additional single unit in the production. So at Singularity University, these exponential technologies is what we're familiar with. That's how sort of ARK Invest come up with those estimations. The next question is, at what point will automation be too much? That's from Vincenzo. Yeah, that's a good question. When will it be too much? I mean, for me, I think we should automate all the tasks and humans can do what they enjoy. So I'm a bit biased because I work in automation. But if you think about what we do in terms of hobbies, like riding horses, people used to ride horses as a means to get from point A to point B, instead of like a necessary mode of transport. And today, it's sort of a hobby. So with the UBI, the sort of we think that we should be implemented for us to be able to do what we enjoy, so that you're reaping the benefits from automation, and that sort of will allow us to change our mindset rather than the robots taking our jobs. It's more the robots are performing our tasks and serving us in terms of creating this journey towards abundance. Next question is, with all that mimicry, what will happen when we can't detect the difference between being plugged and unplugged? That's from Brian. Yeah, thanks, Brian. So, how do we know we're not plugged in right now, Brian? Right? We wouldn't know the difference. So philosophically, this will probably need to go with an alcoholic beverage. So I'm always up for connecting afterwards on that question. Next question is, with transhumanism, many subjects like harassment for gender, handicaps can disappear. What do you think about the new social model? That's from Satcha. Thanks, Satcha. So this is exactly what transhumanists are advocating for, an extension of the LGBTI movement, where we can have morphological freedom. So freedom to do with whatever we want with our biology, and making gender and disability a choice that you can opt out of for everyone. So transhumanism is looking at transcending that biology through science and technology. I think that's all the questions. So thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks for listening. And I look forward to connecting with you soon.